So let's do it. Let's separate what's inside our column J, the invoice code, into invoice number, into the invoice date, and into the salesperson code. And there are actually several ways to do that in Excel, but we are going to use the so-called text to columns feature in Excel, which is a really old feature, but also really, really useful still. So in order to do that, I need to provide some space on the right-hand side of column J. So I'm going to select several columns here, and I'm going to simply insert columns. I'm going to insert by clicking Insert on Home tab, or you can right-click and insert column and so on. Okay, now what I can do, I can select what's in column J. I'm going to click on J2, hold Control-Shift key, and use arrow key down in order to select it. And now I'm going to go to the Data tab on the ribbon, and in the Data Tools group of commands, right here, Data Tools, we have text to columns right there. So I'm going to click on it, and interestingly enough, this tool is very similar to what you saw when you imported data. So it is very similar tool, only now we're not importing, we are separating from one column into separate columns. In this case, however, I'm not going to be using delimited because my data is not fully delimited data. I have a delimiter hyphen, but I'm going to use fixed width because all of my values in that column are actually fixed width. Each invoice number has the same number of characters, the same number of digits, and each date has the same number of digits, and so on. So I'm going to use fixed width. Click Next. And now instead of specifying a separator, we need to specify where we want to separate our data. If you misclick, like I did right here, you can actually click and drag to move the separator to a different position. And you need to click on the ruler in order to create that separator. So I'm going to place one here. I'm going to also separate my hyphens here. I don't really need hyphens. I'm going to place them into a separate column. And I need to click to separate the date from the salesperson code. And click Next. Now it is really important to specify the data type. Again, you don't want to have all of the columns in general data type. I'm going to use, for this one, I'm going to use text because an invoice number is not actually a number, it's a code, even though it consists of digits only, just like a number, but it's not a real number. It might have leading zeros for invoice numbers. For the date, again, I need to specify that it's a date, and I have year, month, day. Just like on import, I'm going to specify year, month, day, YMD, as my data structure. And for the salesperson code, again, I don't want general, because if a salesperson's code has some zero, leading zero, I don't want to lose that leading zero, so I'm going to choose text again. And now I'm ready to finish. So I'm going to click Finish, and sure enough, my data is separated into separate columns. So what I can do now, I see that the invoice number is separate. I'm going to type invoice number as the column title. For the date, I'm going to type invoice date, and salesperson code. And for column K, where I have hyphens, I don't really need that column. What I do, I simply right-click on it and delete. And now my data is separated. It's parsed into separate columns. Now I'm gonna save the file. Control S. I'm gonna put it on desktop, and I'm gonna call it data imported, and press save. This is gonna save my Excel file. And that's how one of the ways to do this, and there are some other ways to do that. We will explore some of the ways in the next lectures. And I will see you in the next video.